Wait, there we go. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the newest indoor adventure in Ghosts of Saltmarsh, Tammeraut's Fate, Part 7. Who's Tammeraut? Maybe we'll find out today. Maybe we
Who?
won't. Who knows?
I don't know her.
Today is February 20th, 2020, and you are loved. And that is a very important thing that we like to remind each and every single one of you who tune in and listen to this show, because we feel like it is an incredibly important thing to, again, let all of you know. If this is your first time joining us, consider going to youtube.com/indooradventures, where you can gain access to all of our VODs. So every game that we play on this channel from Monday, Tuesday, and Thursdays ends up going there. We also have audiocasts available wherever audiocasts are available for free, all under the same moniker. If you already support us on YouTube, Twitch, audiocasts, all of those fantastical places, consider going to patreon.com/indooradventures, where you can gain access to our after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from each other, but also from the community at large. And hey, say you already support us on Patreon, you already support us on Twitch, you've already subbed on YouTube, all of those grandiose things, but you're looking for more ways to help support the show. Consider going to indooradventure.redbubble.com, that's Indoor Adventure, no S at the end, where you can get Hint of Fae mugs, you can get Moon Maidens t-shirts, you can get throw pillows, shower curtains, all sorts of wonderful things. We're still working on getting the nunchucks. I don't think that Redbubble has them available, but that won't stop a boy from trying. And so that is, there are more ways that you can help.
We are going to find ways
show.
to chuck a nun eventually.
Look, for maybe once we get 500 viewers, or not viewers, followers on Twitch, maybe that will be part of a giveaway. We'll throw together a custom set of Indoor Adventure nunchucks. I don't know how we'll do it, but we'll figure it out once we get there. So, hey, we only got 25 more people to go until I have to go out of my way to find nunchucks for you all. So, consider it. With that, let's get this started. Hey, Dingo, who are you playing tonight?
I'm Dingo, she, her, and I am playing Hish Sungard, the half-orc fighter, he, him.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Reeves, he, him, and I'm going to be playing Ulman Dark, he, him, and him, they, them.
Hoi! I'm Cyber. I play Albus. He, him, the semi-hybrid sorcerer.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm KyleWithAnN, and tonight I'll be playing Jilfa'en the half-elf cleric, and we both use she, her pronouns.
And I am the Indoor Adventurer, he, him, and tonight I shall be your Dungeon Master. So, last we left off, your group had been recovering from a fateful encounter with a Arclight Phoenix that had been created by one Umberly to end up causing distress upon your vessel. After she had, after this beast had kind of wrecked your vessel, Jilfa'en used the powers of her Black Ledger to request Tharsden's aid, who, Tharsden, being the god of infinite wisdom that they are, turned your ship into a living, breathing creature just like Jill wanted. However, it was a little bit different than what was initially planned for, as that living, breathing creature was most certainly a demon ship by the name of Triumph. However, after your group had kind of discussed the implications of what this demon ship could possibly bring about, Jill, you were then talked to individually by most all of your party members, inquiring about the effects of if you thought that this was indeed for the best, to which then you had a one-on-one conversation yet again with Tharsden, who had expressed how proud they were of you, and seeing as how you were slightly displeased with the overall look and build of the ship, showed you and together the two of you were able to then reconstruct the ship to have a more wooden appearance on the outside rather than the fleshy vessel that you had before. And that is where we are going to pick up. So it is I would actually like all of you to make perception checks to see if you notice what is happening with the ship while you are asleep.
Me included?
Jill, you will not be included in this because you are in the process of changing it. Albus got a 1.
Uh, let's see, 4, 7, 8, 11.
Okay.
28.
Okay. So, Ulman, you and Ham are the only ones who seem to know what is going on. So you are in your hammocked area where you have been spending most of your time sleeping. You kind of claimed this area where you had initially found Bim's to be your room when you guys had initially taken over this vessel. Ulman, you awake to a groaning sound, and you've been a little tense ever since you saw what happened to your kitchen. And at this point, you aren't taking any chances with being out on the high sea. So you kind of awake with a start. Ham is still a little sleepy, but all things considered, your mind is as sharp as the knife that you once were. As you hear this groaning sound, it is coming from the ship itself and from the corners of wherever the room was, where there had once been walls to meet a floor. It is almost like a thin film is making its way over the skin of this creature. And as you look, that film begins to turn into a light brownish color, and then you see it begins to segment itself off, almost in an appearance of wood paneling. And around you and in front of you, you watch as the vessel begins to grow a almost wooden carapace. But you see that there is still the flesh underneath. And you are fairly certain that if you were to break through the wood, that there would be this weird living creature underneath, but it seems like it is instead growing over this wooded form. You're not sure if this is making you more comfortable or less comfortable, but it seems like a lot of the furniture and a lot of the other things that are here as well are turning back to the way that they used to appear. Even though you're fairly certain that underneath all of this, there will still be that weird fleshy layer.
Yeah. Ulman waits for the process to seem like it's kind of finished, because he really doesn't want to touch it while it's in the middle, because that could it just looks gross to him. He doesn't want any of that. But once it seems like it's kind of stopped layering and hardening, I think he'll silently creep over towards Jill's room and just put his ear to the door.
Okay. And as you are making your way, your feet have the same kind of click-clack as they would on any other wooded surface. Make a perception check.
Dirty 20.
You hear what sounds like the comfortable breathing of a sleepy Jill, but you also hear what sounds like a quill on parchment.
He just kind of squints and takes a deep breath and looks towards his room, and then looks towards where the kitchen is and shuffles over to the kitchen real quick to check on it.
It looks just the way it did several days ago.
He nods, he smiles widely, and he goes back to his room and goes to sleep.
Okay. Sounds good. And Ulman, while you were out and about kind of looking at the front of the ship, so your vessel had grown almost these large fins off to the side that was helping propel it forward. What you have seen while on the surface is that they actually layered themselves onto the side of the vessel, and then that wooded lacquer kind of seemed to take over the front of it. You're fairly certain that given the right circumstances, these fins will be able to manifest themselves again, but currently they are just under the boards.
Interesting. Cool.
All right, but you are able to then return to sleep without any issue, and you all manage to sleep rather uneventfully. Your ship sails through the night without the need of anyone at the helm, seeing as how it is a creature in and of itself that had a destination in its mind, and you all managed to awaken the following day. Talia is a little confused, Hish. As last she remembered, the ship had a weird grayish blue texture to it, but that must have just been her tired eyes in the evening light. Hish, yep. The boat is no longer squishy. It is back to being made of wood, at least that you can tell. And it seems like all the crew members are also confused by the situation as a whole. They're sort of wondering what's happened. Albus, you awaken as well, and the ship has returned to normal. And checking under the hull, it seems like it is returned to normal as well, and you can even see that the bilge is back to the way that it was. Although, your knowledge of the bilge, you remember it being deeper. It seems like it's risen up a little bit.
I don't trust this.
Yeah, I think Hish is just standing on the deck, and I think he gives it a couple stomps just to be sure. Does it sound like wood, or would I be able to tell that it's not?
It sounds like wood, but you know, Hish, that typically there is a little bit more of a hollow sound that goes through, as there's a little bit more give on the boards of the actual deck itself when it is just a regular vessel. But when you stomp down, it seems like that audio muffles out much sooner than you would typically expect it to. It's a very, very minor thing, but Hish is somebody who has spent most of their lifetime on a ship. This is something that you are able to pick up on.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he notices it, but probably doesn't think too hard about it. And kind of gives the crew an exasperated sigh and tells them to carry on as usual. Or make yourselves busy or do something fun. I don't care. This ship seems to be running itself.
And they all just kind of have a communal worried nod. Like, yeah, we'll do our best.
Yeah, I think he gives them sort of a weary smile back. And I think he's gonna walk down to the kitchen. But as he's walking away, he says, "Just take a few days off. Y'all have earned it."
They just again okay. They're not used to not having the need to not work on a ship is a foreign thing to them.
Yeah, it's foreign to Hish too.
But they just seem to go with it for the remainder of this. They'll be either playing cards, dice, going through some of the booze that you still have onto the ship. They're making time.
Yeah, I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say Jill sleeps in.
Yeah, I bet she does.
When she wakes up, how's Triumph feeling? Triumph doing good?
Triumph's doing great.
Okay.
The feeling that you get is that they are not agitated, But it's like when you you first put a collar onto a cat that hasn't had to wear a collar in a very long time, and they're just like, I don't necessarily like this, but I'm going to put up with it because I have no way of removing it.
I think she's gonna like pause on that for a minute and then just kind of like take her hand and like pat the wall of the ship, and it's just like, there. You'll be okay. You look fine. You look good.
It appreciates it in its
And
own
then-
ship-like way.
Then she's just kind of like to herself. It's just like, oh my god, I'm talking to the ship. I'm crazy. And is going to go out for breakfast. Very nonchalantly.
When anyone walks into the kitchen, Ulman is whistling cheerily, cooking loads of eggs and various meats up for the crew, has a like big batch of coffee going, and just seems to have an overall refreshed pep in his step.
Yeah, I think Jill's just gonna go over straight to the coffee pot, pour some out, and it's just like, you seem in good spirits.
Well, certainly. We had a tiring day yesterday, but I had a great sleep. I woke up to this, he pats the wood, nice carapace evolving on the ship. And it's nice. I wasn't expecting you to gain confidence in your contract so quickly, but I must applaud you.
Thanks. And she'll just take a very long sip of coffee. And then
Albus.
He just
Oh.
continues cooking.
Albus walks in, with like a blanket like wrapped around him. He grabs a cup of coffee and immediately walks back out.
Do you
Yeah,
want me to bring you breakfast?
In your mind, you hear the weakest no.
Yeah, I think you probably pass by Hish as he's walking into the kitchen. He sort of gives you a puzzled nod, and he rounds the corner into the kitchen and kind of leans in and says, "Is Albus okay?"
did he get into the booze shipment? Because he seems like a little hungover, but I don't know if he can get hungover. I've never seen him be hungover.
Yeah, that was kind of my thought.
I make a medicine check.
Sure.
17?
It's pretty much exactly like Albus was before. He just has a headache. Because I have a headache. This is what came to my mind.
I see.
Wow, we're just awful. We're like, wow, Albus has been hitting the bottom. Yeah, I think Jill's just kind of like looking around like the kitchen. Probably like we'll start like walking over and like kind of tapping on things, just kind of nodding and not really say much, but
Satisfied with your handiwork, then?
Sure.
Yeah, Hish smiles and nods, and I think as he's moving past you to get to the coffee, and sort of pulling down a mug, he sort of leans in, and he says, "What did it cost?"
Nothing.
Sure. And he pours himself a cup of coffee, and I don't think he even has to really hoist himself up on the counters. He's like 6'8", so I think he can just sit on them.
It is, as a tall person, you just get to kind of lean back, and your butt is always perfectly counter height.
That's perfect. Small blessings.
Captain, good to see you this morning.
Ulman, good to see you too.
Is there anything in particular you would like for breakfast?
Eggs. Lots of eggs. Actually, I was wondering, how's our supplies going, food wise?
Steven?
Well, when you had set out, you know that it was like you could have comfortably gotten to Uskarn. And at this point, because you had to double back to Lethlung and then go from there, you are still going to have to resupply eventually at Uskarn. Thankfully, you were able to get a few more provisions at Lethlung, but all things considered, not enough to make your entire journey to uninterrupted.
I assume likely because we need more than just protein, but I assume we can also subsist on some fishing for a while as well, right?
Oh, yeah. No,
At least to add to our stores.
At this point, it is mostly trying to get, like, fresh water, like that kind of thing. Like, that is what, unless, actually, some of you have create water, right? As Claire...
Also,
yeah.
Probably.
I mean, you can boil the salt out of it.
Yeah. No, with spells like, if you have, like, a create food or a create water, honestly, you guys don't have to stop at Uskarn at all if you don't want to.
Yeah, clerics can prepare both of those. It's just you have to prepare those every day.
I do have create or destroy water. What's the one with food? Oh, create food and water. That's actually a 3rd level spell. Oh, damn.
Is it a ritual?
No, it's just I have made food and water.
Ooh.
So yeah,
but I didn't prepare it necessarily.
I've got
you guys are gonna be a shit.
and a fish.
Yeah, you
And
guys.
they're infinite. You put the fish between the loaves and you press until the fish goes through one of the loaves, and then just infinite fish and loaves.
Horrible.
That's the strat.
Yeah, I was gonna say you guys are going to be at sea for a long enough period of time that, all things considered, you don't have to make this resupply trip if you don't want to, because you have a cleric on board who can take care of the reason why. Like, at this point now, the only reason why you would resupply is to get more liquor. Because that's something a cleric can't make unless you're a nature cleric.
Yeah, we might need to resupply.
I can make basic booze.
But should you?
Yes.
So, do we need to make a pit stop then?
Likely, if for nothing but alcohol.
A valid reason.
I suspect we're going to need a lot of it if the crew isn't needing to work.
I could see about trying to make some.
I'm very confident in your cooking skills, Ulman. But that sounds dangerous.
I ran a still in the woods behind my house for a long time.
Well, you know what? I'll drink it if Albus tries it first.
Wow.
Very high bar you're shutting there.
Yeah, I think does a double take.
Oh, Alice isn't there.
Oh.
You just hear it in your head.
Albus Albus is always listening. But he says, regardless, I was just thinking we should probably do something for the crew in the coming days. Maybe some kind of feast or party. I feel
That'd be
bad,
fair.
and I think it'll kind of help with the lack of working.
We can also at least get them fishing, which will be something as well.
That would help.
Yes, pit stop. No, we got this. To pit
Honestly, well, it just depends. Do we want to stretch our legs on some land for a little bit, get some booze before we make the last leg of our journey, or do we want to just cut straight through and not have to worry about it?
I mean, it's up
At
to
some
you
point, I
guys.
guess Albus is going to walk into the room.
He needs seconds on the coffee.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, Captain, it's your choice.
Albus, thoughts?
Making a pit stop would probably be good for the crew. Any change of scenery would probably be great for morale.
I mean, as long as the two of you aren't in a hurry to get to our final destination.
I mean, don't get me wrong, I am, but I don't know enough to know how concerned I should be, and well, you know, it's not all about what I want or what Albus wants.
Well, we'll make it a short stop, unless we decide otherwise. But we'll go with that for now.
So, I guess we should probably tell the ship.
We
I mean, Albus, you could tell the ship. You can talk to the ship.
a triumph.
Are you mind linking with it, or are you just like,
Oh, I'm mind linking.
okay?
Also, what's the name of the time we're doing a pit stop in?
Askarn.
Askarn.
Yes.
Do I know where that is?
It had been pointed out to you on a map by Gellum Prime Water when you guys had initially set out. You have a very good idea at this point as to where it is.
A triumph. Can you direct us to Askarn?
With ease.
Will you?
Yes.
Perfect. Triumph
And-
said he'll take us there.
And looking out the window of the kitchen, you can see that the horizon shifts ever so to know that Triumph has changed directions a slight bit.
Well,
Quinn, like, squints a little bit and, like, puts his hip against the counter so that the blade is, like, resting on the counter a little bit. He just, like, tries to reach out.
Make a Arcana check.
it's my turn to talk to the ship.
19?
How much?
19?
I'll say with a 19 you would be able to reach out.
Hello?
Greetings.
Ooh, are you Triumph?
Yes.
Nice to meet you. I'm Ulman, the chef.
Owen, are you talking out loud?
No, he's just thinking to the ship.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like, Ulman pulls his hip away and, all right, well, I guess I can't say that there isn't something there. And, I'm, getting better at projecting myself, too. So that's something. He smiles broadly.
Jill just takes another long sip.
Yeah, Hish sighs and sort of leans back.
What you thinking there, Jill?
Depends. Are you doing your spell?
No.
Are you insight checking me?
Yes.
I will try to roll a deception check because I think Jill is trying to play things up.
17.
8. You can tell that Jill isn't surprised by things, but is trying to play like, oh, wow, interesting. So you could tell that she knows a little more than she's letting on.
What aren't you telling us, Jill?
I beg your pardon?
Nothing.
Okay. I think she's just gonna like to put down her coffee and be like, well, gonna go find something to do and just leave.
Oh, Captain, at some point, I believe Ollie and Ham have been preparing a performance for you. I was trying to get Ollie a little more engaged with lessons, and so we went into theater a little bit, and they found a scene that they really liked.
Yeah, I think that gets a grin out of Hish, and he says, "Well, I can't wait to see it. My son has always had a flair for the dramatics, especially when he wants something."
Ulman smirks at that, and I think all kids do.
Yeah, I don't doubt it. How is Ollie doing with his studies?
He's about as interested as any kid you make sit down and study, but coming along well.
Well, I just hope he does better than I did in school. Was kind of hoping he'd take more after his mother on that one.
Well, they're getting their letters down pretty well now. But they still have those very rough strokes of the pencils.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that ever really went away from me, so don't try too hard.
No judgment. I had to sign a lot of things for my parents.
Gotcha. I think Hish kind of glances over to Albus and just says, "You feeling okay there?"
No, not quite. Like his like face is pressed down on the table, buried in the blankets, and it's only his third eye that is looking at you, and it's like barely opening.
I think Hish swallows down how deeply unsettling that is for him, and says, "Well, do you are you seasick? Do you need anything?"
No, I'm just going to go lie down in the dark room for a while.
Do you want me to rig up a rope to your legs so that you can just drag behind in the ocean?
Are you trying to keel haul me? Because that might actually help.
I mean, if it would help. There's got to be something more comfortable I could rig up than that.
I'm fine for now.
Yeah, I think Hish goes to give you like a pat on the back, but like very gently. And says, well, if you need help moving around, I'm pretty sure I could carry you with one arm. So
He does like silent chuckle. I appreciate the concern.
yeah, Hish nods, and I think he moves back over more towards the stove and leans back on the counters again. And he's trying to keep his voice low because Albus isn't feeling well. And he sort of leans over to Ulman and he says, I just wanted to thank you for being so understanding yesterday.
It's just anything I do for a friend, you know?
Yeah, he nods. To be honest, I'm a little embarrassed at losing my calm like that. But I imagine you understand.
Ulman nods. He rubs his face, thinking about growing that out.
Actually, I was wondering if you had any barbering experience. I kind of feel like if I tried to clean it up, it would be lopsided, and then I'd have to trim the other side, and then eventually it would just be gone.
He smirks at you. They didn't call me Ulman the Everyman for no reason.
Yeah, Hish kind of laughs and he says, how old are you again?
We don't talk about that.
Right. Sorry.
Do I count the years where I just sit there? Because, I don't know, how much maturing can you really do when you're not interacting with people?
Yeah, I was sort of trying to calculate how many years you would have to learn all of these skills. I really do feel like you can kind of do everything.
I was 23 when I became a dagger. And I am 85 now, I think. Give or take some years. It's hard to count the days when you don't have anything to mark them down.
It's a long ass time.
Yeah. It's been an experience kind of just picking up into a new life. But I think I'm better than I was. And I suppose that's all I can ask for.
Well, that makes one of us.
As long as you are alive, you can always make yourself better.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm not like grandpa aged or whatever, but I'm starting to, I'm not getting any younger, and I'm starting to think you can't teach old dogs tricks.
I think old dogs knew those tricks the whole time and just didn't want to do them.
First of all, I feel a little personally attacked.
Well, I don't think you're an old dog, so.
Yeah, I'm not even graying yet, so.
Omen, like,
Don't
squints at your
look that
beard
hard.
and I see nothing.
Yeah, me neither. And it has nothing to do with needing my eyes checked, so. Okay, but let's say the old dog does want to learn new tricks. It's not a matter of him not wanting to. It's just a matter of he sort of misses the opportunities in which to implement those new tricks.
This dog has a very complicated life.
Jill and Albus, are you two just like sitting in this room still while all of this is happening?
No, Jill left whenever Albus was like, hey, what are you hiding? She was like, nothing, I'm gonna go do work.
Albus is going to like lift, like slowly get up off the table and leave the room. But before he does, he's going to look back at the two of you. I don't know how old I am. I would like to think that I've learned something new. And then he'll leave.
Yeah, I think that actually gives Hish some pause. Oh, fuck. Even Albus can do it.
Yeah, if we can change Albus, you already know how to work a whole boat. You don't have to do trading. You could do fishing in the day, you know, be back home every night.
I mean, it's not necessarily about a job. I mean, it is. I will need a job at some point. I'm just not. I'm not who I wanted to be at this point. You know?
I do.
And if Albus can change in the short time that relatively short time that we've known him, what's wrong with me?
Omen closes his eyes and shakes his head. You cannot compare your progress to others because your journey is
Physically,
not
I
theirs.
can.
Yes, but Albus is experiencing something very intense. The experience we have to deal with every day for the first time versus all of his experiences is, well, an incredibly powerful being. And I think that can teach you a lot. And I think it's harder for those of us who've been here a long time because we have to deal with it from day one. And, you know, no one gives you a handbook that says, here's how to find the right choices and make them. You just kind of gotta pilot the boat yourself. And if you don't like the direction you're headed, then start turning. It can be slow. It can be small steps at a time. But if you truly want it in your heart, I believe wholeheartedly that you will get there.
I know that you're right. But I feel like it's almost too late to change course, you know? I mean, if I started turning now, I would miss a cliff by a bee's dick. I don't know.
Let's drop the boating pretext. What are you worried about right now?
I'm worried about a lot of things.
Ulman walks over to the table and pulls a chair out, gestures to it, and bring the coffee pot. We don't have anything to do.
Good point, if you insist. And he pushes himself off the counter and brings the coffee pot and sort of sets it between the two of us. After the Iron Duke went down, I told myself I wanted to be different. I was stubborn, evasive, impulsive, and I wanted to be different. I wanted to be the best man that I could be. I wanted to be earnest and dependable, flexible. I wanted to be able to listen.
Wow. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. I feel like I never really got there. I feel like I had it for a second where things were good. And I mean, you should have seen Talia's face when I brought home that first paycheck from Acquisitions Incorporated. I mean, yeah, shit company, but God.
But, you know, everything they sent us to do was risking our lives to an incredible degree. In fact, some of us died. I don't know if I'd do that, even for that kind of pay again.
You make a point. But before the death.
It's true.
There was just I would do it again. Again, before the death. I would do it again just to see that hope on her face again.
All of those things that you said you didn't want to be are words that I have never even thought about you. And all of the words that you said you wanted to be are things that I would use to describe you to any other individual. You are there. Life is just hard, and we've hit a very rough patch. We've been in transit since. It feels like there's no end to it, but we'll hit a place where we can stay for a bit. Things will settle down, and we have so much money right now. We can things will get some stability soon.
Promise?
You will see that look on her face again. It's a lofty promise, but what do I do but make lofty promises? I promise.
Well, I'll hold on to your hope then for a while.
I've got hope enough for everyone. All right, hope so.
Odd side note. Do you think Jill knows how to... Well, I mean, I'm sure she knows, but do you think if Jill were to put together a will, it would be like legally valid, binding? I don't know what the word
I
is
mean, I believe that any sane person would respect it if you had it, or I guess that was an assumption there, but I'm not sure exactly who you give it to, I guess, in order to make it. You can't really mass distribute that.
No.
You just kind of have to give it to someone close to you, and they'll know.
Well, I've got no shortage of people who are close to me. Albus mentioned something yesterday that got me a little concerned.
What did he mention?
Just that, I mean, we don't know what this aboleth looks like, and if it's an aboleth at its full power. And Albus believes he's not at his full strength. There just seemed to be some doubt that we could.
You can't think about the failure, because if you only ever think about the failure, you'll never want to do anything.
I mean, that's all well, good and nice, Ulman, but I
It's
have to
true.
also think about the failure, because
We do have to also think about the failure, and I don't think any of us would begrudge you if you felt you couldn't go with us. I just want to say that.
On one hand,
Also, I have no clue what I'm getting myself into, but I have no plan of dying. So if you're there, I'll bring you back.
well, I know you don't have any plan of dying, and that's very feasible for, I mean, the three of you. And it's not that I don't want to go. It's I'm torn because I don't want to fail you guys, and I don't want to fail my family. And realistically speaking, you know, Albus is an aboleth, whatever that means, the magical fish man. Jill has a god in her corner. And you know, I don't really know how to simplify everything that you are.
There's a lot going on here.
There's a lot going on. But you see what I'm saying? The three of you have these things that make you extraordinary, and I'm just a dude.
Hish, I have never seen somebody wield a scimitar better than you. And that's not just I haven't seen very many people wield scimitars. There was this man who would come through town every couple of years who had a performance specifically with scimitars, and he did some amazing things. The way you wield your scimitar is brilliant. And the way you maneuver around a field of enemies and just mow them down. It's I don't want to, say that murdering a bunch of people is great, but when we were in that Sahuagin fortress, you were awe-inspiring.
I appreciate your kind words, and I will never cease to be amazed by your eternal optimism.
It's hard. It's really hard, but I feel like I have to. Because if I can maintain this, then maybe I can help everybody else, feel a bit better.
Yeah. Well, I gotta tell you, it works.
That's why I do it. It's worth the effort.
Just take care of yourself, too. Don't forget about that.
I plan to. I still have a daughter to track down. She took the gift.
Did you let her off the... I mean, she
I
was
told
allowed off the
her
ship,
that,
but did you...
yes. I told her that, I had no intention of keeping her hostage. I didn't want her to think she was a prisoner, because that's not my intention. If she wanted to leave, she was free to go. And so she did.
Oh.
I saw that there was a lot that happened to her. Little bits and pieces. And that's not something that I can cut through in a few days.
Get it? Because you're a knife. Sorry.
That's a good one. Oh.
Yeah, it comes
Never
with
challenge a dad to dad bonds.
Yeah, you've got some catching up to do, so learn from the best.
Well, I mean, I have one kid.
Yes, but you need the years of experience. You'll pick up on it.
It's true. I'll pick it up. She told me that her mother was dead, but I don't know if I believe her at this point. It was one of the first things she told me, and...
Why would she lie about that?
To spite me? I'm sure that her grandmother wants me as far away from my wife as possible, because maybe I'm being a little presumptuous here, but if she's there, I think she's waiting for me.
Oh, who? Your wife?
My wife.
Or... Waiting for you in a good way, or in like a mother, like daughter stabbing you in the back kind of way?
I think in a good way. And maybe this is just my own optimism clouding my point of view, but I really hope it's true.
I really hope it's true for you too. Keeping my fingers crossed.
Either way, I have to find that crone and get her to turn me back into a person.
Oh, good luck with that. I mean, she sounds like a real bee.
Oh, I never had any love for that woman.
I've never really gotten the whole hating your mother-in-law thing, though, because...
But she was an actual witch. Like...
Yes, that's fair. Talia's mother was not an actual witch. She was very sweet, very wonderful woman, just a really big blabbermouth. Couldn't tell her anything without the whole town knowing.
Yeah. Would have been nice to have a mother-in-law I could hate, but also couldn't turn me into a sword, so maybe she just yelled at me in the woods and I came to my senses earlier, but
Yeah, the whole turning into a dagger thing really sours it.
Yeah. She was just so hasty about it.
Listen, I know that
I'll never know why.
some people are just like that. They just make decisions without thinking because they follow their instinct on what the right thing to do is. But
isn't that all of us?
you make a point. Good point.
I don't worry about it too much. I'm trying to make the best of what I have. I mean, I don't have much of a lead. And maybe someday I'll pick up something, but at the moment I'm not very allowed on the Sword Coast, which puts a minor pin in the whole plan. But it was worth it for me. And I'll never forget what you did.
It's not a problem. I think he takes his mug and he stands up and he kind of claps you on the back. Word of advice, though, I would I know you're optimistic and all, but I would prepare for a tough conversation when you find her.
Oh, that I'm sure of.
And I would try to find your mother-in-law first, lest you become, I don't know, a spoon instead.
Would you turn Ham into a spoon?
I don't know if she could turn Ham into a spoon. Ham seems...
Ham is too strong. I guess one of the reasons I'm not so hurried is I realized in the process of teaching Ham enough that we could pretend to be a person that I couldn't leave the job half done. In that I felt uncomfortable. I love you, Ham. Releasing a Ham who kind of knows how to pretend to be a person into the world because he loves everyone, and I don't doubt that he would wander around and somebody would get freaked out about him and try to end him. So I feel the responsibility to ensure that when one day we are able to be separate, he can continue to live this great life I've shown him without me at his hip.
Sort of like raising a child.
I almost called him my son last night, so...
I mean, if the shoe fits.
If the shoe fits.
Yeah, he pats you on the back again and says, "All right, I've taken up enough of your time."
I do suppose I didn't quite finish up breakfast for the crew. They ate earlier. I can start on lunch.
Yeah, I think he smiles and gives you a nod and heads
Thanks
out.
for chatting, though.
I feel like I should be thanking you, but no problem.
Alrighty, so that was breakfast. Is there anything else that was going to be happening throughout the day? Was Ollie and Ham's performance going to be happening later that evening? Later? Okay.
I just totally made that up, so I still need to find a scene to,
Sounds
that
good.
would fit.
Okay, so Albus and Jill, was there anything that you guys would like to do during the day?
Find a dark room and go back to sleep.
Albus, you are easily able to find a dark room to go back and take a nap in.
Yeah, Jill actually has contract work to do for Arjan.
Okay.
And I think as she's doing it, I think she's gonna like take out a piece of paper and write a little note and just be like, Dear Arjan, I first of all appreciate the employment opportunity. My own prospects have recently dried up, so thanks for that. Random question. If I remember right, based off of reading of the contract and the little time we interacted, you are sort of in the circle of a, let's say, non-traditional deity. How do your friends handle that? Do you have any advice? I feel like you've been doing this a little longer than me. I don't even know if you'll get this. I think she's gonna like scratch that part out. Anyways, just let me know if you have any tips and tricks. Jilfa'en is gonna stuff that in with the contracts into her little mail chute.
Sounds good. So, it is then later on in the evening. Albus, you have just been trying to be around as little noise as possible, and every once in a while you will hear the ship kind of grumble a little bit, but it seems more of just old things make noise as they go, and this vessel is no different in the way that it moves. And then later on in the evening, after dinner has been prepared and most everyone has either gone to sleep, Ulman, you and Ham are relaxing in your room, and Ham asks if they can paint.
Oh, yes, of course. You're welcome to.
And Ham gets very excited and sets you down next to where they're next to a large piece of canvas that they're attempting to work on. And I would like for you to make a performance check for Ham to paint.
Dirty 20.
Okay. So with the dirty 20, you see that Ham will take several of the greens that you have. There's a lot of blue that is used in this, some browns, a few dabs of red, and then also the way that the brush stroke is heading onto the canvas, you can tell that Ham is putting a lot of care into what they are actually working on. And they seem to work on this piece for what must be several hours at this point, until it is late enough that Ham eventually, with a big smile on their face, says done. And they are going to they bring their hands up, and you see that your hands actually turn into large fans, and they just begin attempting to dry the paint on this canvas as best they can. And then Ham will pick you up, and you can see what Ham has actually been working on for this entire trip, or at least for this entire stint of painting. And it is a portrait. It is a portrait of a crew member of yours, and it is actually a picture of Jill. And Jill has a smile that you have never seen Jill have across her face. There is a look of peace. There is what looks like she is just sitting on this kind of greenish outcropping. And off in the distance, you can see that there is a large bay with a solitary ship that has this bluish color to it, sort of sailing off in the background. And Ham says, "I had a commission!" And with a quick flourish, you see Ham write something at the base of this painting, but it's in a language that you, Ulman, don't know how to read, but you remember seeing it before. And you remember seeing this sort of like black blocked text in the Tharsden books that you had actually received a while ago.
It's a gorgeous painting. Wow. You're getting really good at painting. I don't know if I've told you that recently.
Ham is elated.
What do you said it's a commission, so what are you being paid?
And Ham he looks at you, or like he like thinks for a while. And then there's a moment of confusion, and you can feel Ham shrug and says, "Better?"
You are doing this in exchange for more talent?
Ham nods.
From Tharsden.
Nods again.
I don't know how I feel about that, but you know, it's your choice, which I have told you many times.
Ulman, make a insight check.
$19?
There is a distinct feeling that you share with Ham. For the remainder of your voyage, from here until you will have advantage on ability checks.
All right. Ham, just please don't break any chains.
Ham doesn't know what that means. And then Ham says, "But what if you're under? No. What if Albus is underwater and he's wrapped up in a chain, and the only way to wait? No. What if Hish is underwater and he's wrapped up with a chain, and the only way to save him is by breaking it?"
Well, I think all of us can breathe underwater now, but Uh, I guess I meant more specifically Tharston's chains.
And Ham just
I
shrugs, doesn't know what you mean.
I know he hasn't probably talked to you about that. And I guess one of the reasons I've been making you study so much is because I don't know how else to show you why Tharsden is maybe not the greatest person, but I suppose that's also my own judgments. And he hasn't made you do anything bad or asked anything bad of you.
The handsome man
I
wanted
just-
this done so he could make this lady smile. He likes Jill.
I know he does. Wait, hold on. What do you mean he likes Jill?
You feel the emotional equivalent of a shrug.
Do you feel like he likes her like you like me? Or oh goodness, we haven't met anyone married, have we? Have you seen how Hish looks at Talia sometimes?
And
Back when we were on
I imagine there's like a
in town.
mirror in your room, and Ham will just like change his face to be Hish, like to look like Hish's in the moments of those, just like like a very a very knowing look.
I guess I don't know if you understand the difference. Do slimes ever have partners? Slimes? Do you know how you're intended to reproduce? I know these are some strange questions, but I guess it's not something I really know about your species. Do you just split into two different slimes at some point?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. Well, like the individual I am pursuing, my wife, sometimes there are people that you want to commit yourself to for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You never want to part with them, and so you form a bond. And sometimes there is some
Like Ulman and
ceremony.
Ham.
Sort of like us. The bond can come in many forms, though. There are lots of different kinds of love. And I guess I don't know if all beings feel romantic love the way a lot of humanoids do, but it's a very powerful feeling. And also one hard to explain. How does anybody explain these things to people who don't know? This is so difficult.
And Ham will set his hands down onto the table and will raise them up, and two small humanoid figurines that have full like movability will appear, and he'll make them hug. Like that?
Yes. Sort of. I guess the one of the differences I'm trying to accentuate is how you love someone who is a friend versus how you love someone who is your child versus how you love someone who is your partner. And they're all different. They're all love, but they're all different kinds of it. And I guess, as I've said before, I feel for you both as a very close friend, but as also somewhat of someone I'm responsible for, you know? I I want you to be able to continue experiencing the world without the slightest hitch when we finally have to part ways, so that you can leave and see new things and then come back and tell me all about them.
The idea of being separate makes Ham sad.
I don't know when we're going to be separate. And when we are separate doesn't mean that you have to leave right then and there. But at some point, it'd be really nice for me to have a body, and then we will be two different people, and we can't be always in the same place at the same time. But you will always hold a very special place in my heart, and you will always be welcome in my home. You are like family to me.
And Ham's chest swells with pride at the idea of being a member of Ulman's family. Ham seems to take this very well.
I don't know how you would feel about it, but if you wanted to call yourself Ham Dark, I wouldn't be upset. It's the name I took for myself as well. I never knew my parents. Well, I knew my parents' last names, but the Darks are the ones who raised me.
And at this, you see your line of sight lower. And in this full body mirror that is in your room, you see it is child-sized with long blonde hair, and it looks like Ham has made himself look to be about Ollie's age, size, and stature. And he says, "Ham Dark!" And that is where we are going to go to our break for the evening. So I would like to say,
my check for heartbreak.
That's a free action. You can have it as you will. And we are going to try and be back in 5 to 10 minutes. So don't go no place unless it is to grab a food, grab a drink, grab a friend, or possibly go to indooradventure.redbubble.com. Pick yourself up something nice. But we are going to try and be back here shortly. So don't go no place. All right, everybody. Bye-bye. Hello, everybody. We have returned. Last we left off, Ulman gave Ham permission to call himself Ham Dark, to which Ham made himself look like a young version of Ulman. Long, glorious blonde locks, but more like child-sized, closer to Ollie's age, because in reality, that's honestly the only child that Ulman and Ham have, or that Ham has ever really interacted with on a regular basis. So that was what they were going off of. But Ulman, also in your room is this portrait of Jill that Ham would like to deliver if possible.
Oh yes, I suppose we do have to deliver that. I honestly was thinking he was just gonna take it somehow, like we were gonna look away and look back and it was gonna be gone. I don't know why I didn't think we would. All right. We'll do it in the morning. How about that?
Okay. Ham is all right with this. And your night ends up going by uneventfully. Come morning, do you end up giving this to Jill first thing, or do you continue to kind of hold off on it?
I tell him we should wait until after breakfast because people are counting on us for breakfast.
Ham's all right with this decision. But at this point, they kind of like roll the painting up into, they'll actually like just put their hands together, open it up, and create a holding tube for said painting, pop it in, and then just slurp it into the body so that way they don't have to rush and get it. But yes, breakfast goes by uneventfully. Albus Has your migraine ceased over the last the last day, or is he still in the mood for dark, quiet place?
Oh, he is still in a quiet place,
Okay, sounds good.
but with slightly less monsters.
Sounds good.
I will bring you delivery of coffee if you don't come up for it.
I'm mentally, I like to imagine it's like you leave it outside the door, you knock on it a few times, door opens, you can't see anything in, and then just tendrils shoot out, grab the cup, and pull it back. But with like the utmost care, so you as not to spill any coffee.
That is exactly what happens.
And then all you hear is just the satisfied sips coming from the dark corner of the ship. Just that sound every once in a while. All right.
You know, we should paint this. This would make just that what we just saw would make a very fun painting, don't you think?
Ham nods. He enjoys this idea. But yeah, so breakfast is made without any real issue. And it is served to all the crewmen. Your able-bodied sailors are pretty hungover this morning. It seems like with literally nothing else to do, they played dice and drinking games for the majority of the evening. It seems as if one of the sailors has actually come up with some sort of weird role-playing game to utilize the dice. They needed parchment at some point, but it has just been them playing underneath the bow of the ship for quite some time.
I make them nice greasy food, and once they've gotten some coffee and potatoes in them, I ask if they, after they've recovered enough, if they would do some fishing for me today.
Yeah, they would be down to fish. That seems like a simple enough task that they have no real qualms about doing this. All right. And I will... yeah, I'll roll for the fishies. Yeah, you'll get a good haul in towards the end of the day. At least enough for, like, tonight's dinner as well as a few meals out of this.
I feel like rice is too exotic for us to have that on board. But I was going to say I could make sushi.
Make a survival check.
With a total of +1, dirty 20.
I will say that you could have had rice on board. Rice is a pretty easy grain to store, and for long distance travel, rice is also a good option. Being from Saltmarsh, you would also have been in an area where rice fields would have been more available than not.
Yeah, alrighty.
Yep.
Then I'll make sushi tonight.
Okay. Sounds good. And at this point, Ham is still wanting to give Jill the painting that you have been putting off, Ulman.
Yep. It's time. I told him now.
Okay. And so, Jill, post breakfast, did you stick around, or did you head back to your room, or what is Jill doing in the morning?
I think she had like her usual cup of coffee, but then, it's kind of like, well, I don't have any like actual ship work to do anymore, so I'm just gonna do paperwork. So, she's doing her thing where she holes up in her office.
Okay. Eventually there is a knock on your door. And when you open it, Ham and Ulman, physically it just looks like Ulman is standing there. And Ham says, it's a gift, and extends their hand out, and they are holding on to this tube that looks like it contains some sort of parchment or canvas or something inside.
She'll, she's surprised, and she'll say, well, Ham, Ulman, really shouldn't have, but thank you.
It
And
was
she'll
commissioned
oh.
for you.
She'll open it up.
It is a portrait of you with a smiling face, a face that no living creature has ever seen. It's incredibly
Wow.
well done, to be fair.
Wow, your skills have certainly improved since the last portrait you made of me. Not saying that, it was a poorly done portrait, but wow, this is and I think she's gonna like look at the bottom
Yeah.
and see like
I was going to say, looking at the bottom, you can see that kind of chaotic, blocky text that you had taught yourself how to read before. And it says the guiding star.
She'll well, this is certainly an unexpected gift, but you know what, I'm going to go I'm going to hang this up next to where the other one you made for me. I think it'll look really nice, and she's just gonna go and like fish through like her desk for maybe like a hammer and nail or something, I don't know, however she hangs things up, and it's just gonna not looking at Ulman, and I'm just trying to hang this up.
Okay. Sounds good. Make a sleight of hand check when you go to hang it up.
I don't know if I like the sound of that. Oh, I want to roll this dice. Ah, shit. 7.
The nail ends up that you use to tap in goes a little deep, and you can feel that Triumph is agitated by this.
Oh, sorry. I didn't. Just trying not to acknowledge Ulman or Ham. Just like, oh boy.
Ulman, you are muted, sir.
Ulman silently to Ham is like, I think this is when we depart. Classically. Let's just close the door.
And then as the door closes, Ulman, Ham is just saying, do you think she liked it?
I do think she was genuinely impressed by your work.
Yay!
I think the implications are a little strange. I'm curious, what did you sign it with? What was that text at the bottom?
That was what the handsome man wanted the piece named.
Okay.
Said the guiding star, and he like makes like a the more you know motion with his hand.
Interesting. Well, that's that one done. We have quite the time till we have to start preparing lunch. You have anything you want to do?
Ham just shrugs.
Paint?
Yay!
If it's nice on the deck, we should go up there. Enjoy the sun, you know?
Ham is totally down for this. All right. So Ham is going to be painting. Albus has secluded himself into a dark room as to not disturb himself with any of the other bullshit that is happening upon this vessel. Hish, at some point, Talia will pull you aside and say, So were my eyes playing tricks on me? I thought the ship was blue. When after I had been in the water. I'm sure it's nothing.
I mean, it was blue for a minute, and then it turned back.
Okay. All right. She kind of like she has no problems with this. She never saw the in-betweens, and she just says, "Well, I'm just happy that it's fixed." I do have a question though.
Shoot.
How are we moving? I haven't seen anyone actually doing ship-related things. I mean, the helm is even turning on its own, but no one is... Is this part of that divine inspiration that you were telling me about?
Yes. Unfortunately, with the divine intervention that repaired the ship, it also sort of made the ship a more sentient thing.
I'm sorry, what? Do you say sentient?
I don't know how else to describe it to you. Yes.
So like sometime like Ulman sentient, or like what?
Well,
like a
not like a human being sentient, more like a big fish. I think. Maybe a dog.
If I think about it as a dog, it's almost more upsetting, but at the same time easier to process.
Yeah, that was sort of my kind of more endearing in a way.
Oh,
I thought.
all right. We're still safe then?
As far as I understand, yes, we are safe.
All right. Huh.
Yep. So as far as I understand it, the ship isn't really a ship anymore. It's more like a horse. That's a good analogy. It's like being on a big
It's a
ocean
ship.
horse.
It is a ship?
I mean, it looks like a ship, sure. But I don't think insurance covers this.
We have insurance on this?
We did.
Did we?
I'm pretty sure we did.
I didn't put any policies down for it. And if we did, those were all based out of Saltmarsh.
Well, yeah, that's kind of the shit.
Oh, goodness. All right. Well... All right. So one of the gods fixed this then. Well, they have my thanks, I suppose. Because we're moving, and now you won't be as busy doing all of those captaining duties, and you can actually help me out with the boy every once in a while.
I'm sorry if I've been lacking on that.
Not lacking. Busy. There's a difference. One is because you had your hands tied and you couldn't help it. The other is if we were in a situation like this and I asked you for help and you said, well, there's booze I can drink out of coconuts with small tiny umbrellas in it instead. That would be lacking.
Okay, but would you judge me if when we stopped off on our next port and got some coconuts and tiny umbrellas.
I would not judge you.
Okay, because I would bring you one too.
Well, that sounds like a deal, Hish Sun God.
Yeah, I think he gets a little sheepish, and clears his throat. Speaking of the boy, where is Ollie?
He said he was drawing. Just left him.
Oh. Is he doing all right?
He's doing better, I think. He's a little tired, but it makes sense. He had a big day yesterday.
Yeah. I worry about. I mean, he's so young, and that was. He shouldn't have had to go through that.
Well, think of it this way. We're all still here together.
I know.
If the situation was non-recoverable, I think that's where a little bit more damage would have been done. But he got to see his father do something fearless and come out unscathed.
Wasn't fearless.
And what was it? Ship's going down, you dive off the side.
I really thought I was gonna lose you.
And she smirks a little bit and says, "You can't get rid of me that easy."
Brat.
I know. Absolutely terrible is what that would have been. But here we are, on a self-propelled vessel that the gods have deemed us worthy to be a pawn.
You're saying the words God a lot, Talia, and I'm just curious.
Alive. The boat had large holes in its side. I went to sleep because I fell overboard, and when I woke up, everything was fine. That doesn't really happen all that much. That certainly never happened while I was in Saltmarsh.
I just don't want you to get the wrong idea, is all.
And what would that idea be?
That we can trust the gods.
And she kind of shoots you a quizzical eye and says, "Well, I never said that I trusted them, but I am thankful for the actions that they do when they do them. It's hard to be thankful of gods when they just stay quiet and don't really do much."
You're right.
I know
You're
that
right.
there were some in Saltmarsh. The sun would rise and we would hear about Lathander day in and day out just because the sun happened. That
Yeah, I
doesn't
don't
make
miss the
any
tracks
sense.
on that one.
Let's see a follower of Lathander's ship get destroyed by an angry sea bitch. And then he, recreates a sentient vessel for his followers? That doesn't make any sense. We had something happen here. We had something good happen here.
Yeah, you're right.
See,
I'm thankful that it happened.
the way that you say that isn't very reassuring.
No, I, I, I just didn't think about it that way. That being grateful and doesn't necessarily mean that I'm trusting is all. You made a good point.
This is something you already knew, though. Like wherever it is your friend Albus has run off to. Are you thankful for Albus, the several times that you all have been on dangerous adventures and he was able to pull through?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that you have to trust him.
The funny thing is I think I do, actually.
Well, I mean, that's good.
But
Kind of pokes a
no,
hole in my example, but that's all right.
No, but I didn't before, but I see your point. And I guess I just wasn't as conscious of it.
Well, we're doing fine now.
Are you doing fine?
I am not doing well, but I'm fine. If that makes any sense. What
Yes
happened?
and no.
What happened with before the ship fixed itself?
When Umberly tried to drag you to the bottom of the sea.
Yes, that. It is not every day that we come close to death. And in that moment, there were things that I realized about myself and things that I realized that I hadn't done. And I was going to drown with regret. And that is something I don't want to do. I don't think that a life out on the open sea is... It is not for me. I thought maybe I could be better about it. I thought that there was something that maybe if I just put on a brave face and let go as the wind goes, that maybe it would be better. But I'm terrified. To know that every dark cloud, every rough wave could be her, could be some creature of divine origin wanting to take me from my family. And that is terror. And so it's difficult for me to be strong about that. But in front of our boy, I can't show that I'm scared, because I don't want him to be. So I am dealing. I am coping. I am not well. But I have all of my limbs about me. I have my wits about me. Ollie is still safe, and you are still safe. So I'm fine. Because metaphorically drowning is a lot better than physically drowning. She kind of gives you a weak smile at that.
Yeah, he nods. Yeah. Yeah, I get what you mean. And I don't want you to feel like you have to put on a brave face all the time. Especially not in front of me.
Well, that's why we're able to have conversations like this, right?
Yeah. You know that I'm not going to let anything tear this family apart. You know that, right?
And she nods and says, when we get to shore, we are still going to shore, right?
Can you remind me, DM, what the cities that we're going to are? Askarn, and then what?
Askarn, and then after that is Moran.
Moran, okay. Yeah. He says we're stopping off in Askarn first, and then back onto the ship and to Moran.
With the money that we have, I could hire a group of guards and we could just take the land route. Ollie and
I actually wanted to talk to you about that.
Well, no better time than the present, I suppose. Unless the helm is veering in a direction unfit for the captain. And you see the helm just like steadily like righting itself to always be facing the direction it needs to.
Mm-hmm. No, actually, I think it's directing itself better than I ever did. It's okay if you haven't thought about it yet. You've been through a lot, but I was sort of wondering if you had any thoughts about what you wanted to do when we got to Moran, or sooner. You don't necessarily have to go there or settle there.
In all honesty, I think as much as I enjoy living in sleepy fishing villages, maybe somewhere more mountainous, densely forested, away from the ocean.
Well, I'm not living anywhere where I could be, hit by a rock slide at any moment.
Oh,
That's
no.
It's a huge fear of mine.
No, I understand.
And I do want to point out that it was your idea to move to Saltmarsh.
Have you ever had a romantic ideal or an idea about what it would be like to live in a place, and then once you're actually living there, you realize everything smells of fish all the time?
Yeah.
How a strong breeze can just make it worse?
After a while, I sort of grew to like it. There was some notes in there, like earthy, salty kind of notes.
My current plan, or at least a plan that I liked to think about, was once we got to Moran, that we would go and find a place where we could send Ollie off to school, where he would do well there. So that is my current plan, is to live close enough to somewhere that we could still provide for him what I was never provided. And do so in a safe manner.
Yeah.
which is why if it's my choice between motions towards open ocean and taking a more secured trade route, I think I'll take a trade route.
I want to assure you that nothing is going to happen on this ship before we get to Moran. But I understand if you're not comfortable. And
Hish, when we left Saltmarsh, you assured me that nothing was going to happen between us leaving Saltmarsh and getting to Moran, and we got attacked by a large bird made of pure lightning who blew a hole in the side of the vessel and almost sent me to the bottom of the ocean.
But you were here and I could do something about it. If you're on the trade routes and I'm not, I can't do anything about it.
Then what would you have me do? Stay here and risk getting blown up again?
No. Okay. If you want to take the trade route, that's what we'll do.
How about this? We'll take the trade route. It'll be faster to go by sea, I understand that. So you get down to Moran. Find us a house that you like, that has all of the creaky floorboards and all of the right places. And by the time that we get there, it'll be ready for you to settle in.
Funny enough, I was actually my thought that I was going to propose to you was that when we got to Moran, I would give you the money and send you off to find a home that you liked, preferably outside of Moran, because
I feel like at this point we're both just going to end up giving each other money for a house that Ollie likes, and next thing we know there's a slide that goes from the top floor to the bottom.
I'm not going to be mad about that.
And she says,
I don't want you to live that life with regrets.
And she nods and brushes the hair out of the front of her face, and she just says, I know. And I'm trying. At this point. So I will leave that up to your discretion. If you think that we'll be safer here than we will on the road.
Talia, I don't want it to be my decision. I want it to be what you want. I want it to be your decision.
And she nods and says, I'll think it over.
Okay. 2 questions.
Yes.
To Talia.
Oh, yes. Potentially 2 answers.
Since we're speaking of a new house, when you sold the old house, did you sell the furniture in it?
It's not like I thought that we were going to have a house to go back to.
Right, but did you sell all of the
I
furniture?
sold the property as is.
So
Yes.
you sold chairs.
Yes.
You sold the porch chairs.
Yes.
You sold the porch chairs that my father gave to us, made for us.
You know, when we were leaving Saltmarsh under unagreeable circumstances,
You're right. You're right.
and I was under the impression that you specifically, as well as the rest of these crewmen, were, I recall, banned from the Sword Coast.
Yep. No. Yep. No. I hear it.
Chairs were. Isn't your friend Ulman a good woodsman?
As supportive and old as he is, he's not my father, Talia. But I appreciate the thought.
You could just make some nice chairs. They don't have to. Anyways, what was your second question?
I'm sorry. Oh, hold on. The chairs that my father crafted for us as a wedding gift were not up to your. I'm not gonna have this argument. You know what? The chairs are gone. The chairs are gone. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You know what? I've completely forgotten what my other question was. But I suppose if I think of it, I'll come ask you.
She gives you a gentle nod. And then she will... What?
I think as Hish is walking away, he stops very abruptly and sort of turns on his heel as he does. Sort of like his old self. And he looks at her and he goes, "What were those things that you regret?"
And she pauses and says, mostly just not being available to see things. If I'm going to be honest, I regret not being able to send our boy to school, not being able to see him grow into a young man, not being able to see him become the person that he wants to be.
I'm sorry, that was a silly question.
And she just looks at you confused. It's all right. You are a very silly man. And she just sort of turns and continues back to the room.
Yeah, I think we see him sort of pause and smile. I think I don't think he's ever been called silly. And he kind of shrugs it off and goes and shaves his beard, I guess, or trims it. He doesn't shave it, he trims it or something, because like what the fuck else is he gonna do? Ship's driving itself.
Make a sleight of hand check.
I'll allow it.
I was gonna say, don't do this to me.
No. On checks that you want to succeed, just have the players succeed in that. So you give yourself a delightful 5 o'clock shadow. Like you're able to really just like even it out. There's one spot like behind your jaw that you just miss.
Can it be like the you know what I'm talking, like the tech dad beard, where it's like the goatee and the beard all in one.
Yes.
Because I kind of want it that way, but like it looks trimmed. It's not the like grown out depression beard.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right. So, was there anything else that your group wanted to do while upon this here vessel?
Nope, Jill's just spending the rest of her day outside of her room, letting the sea breeze hit her face, which is a little red.
Indoor, I DM'd you something.
Okay. Sorry, I did not check. Let me see.
I believe Jill's trying to hide her blush.
It's not hard to miss. She's a very pale woman.
So you're just gonna give yourself windburn instead.
Oh, my face is chapped. Sorry, guys.
Okay. Sounds good. So, Jill, later on in the evening, as you are getting ready to head to bed, you actually hear it's a kathunk from the inside of your message tube. And it looks like there has been a reply to the form that you had filled out earlier. And then, Connor, would you like to read Arjan's response that you have that Jill has received?
Dear Jilfa'en, don't you fucking dare. I'm absolutely kidding. Dear Jilfa'en, it's good to hear from you. I hope you're doing well. It's taken my friends some time to come around to my connection with my goddess, and honestly, it's taken some time for me to come around myself. If we're ever on the same plane, I'll tell you the full story. In my case, I found myself fully at the mercy of her more malicious tendencies and was powerless to do anything but go along with her. Only now, after going through the literal hells, am I starting to find the parts of her that I can truly put my faith in. But I'm at peace with the faith I found. But I suppose that's not the question you asked. Sorry. For now, my friends trust me, and they trust that I won't let myself be taken advantage of. That's the best I can ask for. I'm sorry I can't be of more help at the moment. Rajan Yodaris. And then below that, crossed out, it says CFO, Tyrant Security. P.S. Your pay has been deposited in an account in Dispata. I'll send you the instructions on how to retrieve them as soon as the channel has been finalized.
Yeah, I think she'll smile at that and nod and tuck the letter away.
Sounds good. So, without any further delays from your trip, you are all able to make headway to Uskarn rather easily. Is there anything else that you guys would like to do while aboard this vessel?
I think Hish
doing lessons, cooking.
Yeah, I think Hish sits in on the lessons and just spends a bunch of time with Ollie.
Okay. Sounds good. A lot of Ollie's drawings that he is doing he's like smiling while he draws them, but you told him that there was a monster in the bilge. So God. Any young child, his head is just like running wild with ideas as what the monster could possibly be. And there's there's a large octopus that's down there. In one almost like too accurate, you see like a bunch of a hopeless amount of crabs drawn to like fill up the bilge of the ship.
Oh my God. I double takes at that one and has to like I think he grills Ollie just a little bit about whether or not he went down into the bilge before we got to whatever that town was called.
Ollie shakes his head, no, that he did not go towards the bilge.
Insight check.
Yeah, make an insight check.
Can I have advantage because he's a child?
You can have advantage because that's your child.
Yeah.
Do you want me to zone of truth your son?
What's my insight? 15 plus 7. So 23?
He is like, he's like biting his lower lip a little bit, which just like pulls the skin tight around his 2 small tusks that he has. And he kind of like looks away shyly and admits that he didn't go in the bilge, but he got near the bilge and he heard a lot of skittering sounds coming from it. And when he heard those sounds, he got scared and ran away.
Yeah, okay. I think Hish just gets a good chuckle out of that, but he doesn't like ground him or anything.
Okay. Sounds good. And then so with that, and like Talia is like also looks at these monster drawings, like at the crabs one, makes eye contact with you. Hish, she didn't ever see the jewel beneath the vessel, but was one of those like
Why is Hish so interested in this picture?
What is it about a hopeless amount of crabs? But thankfully, without further hesitation, eventually, you see that you're off on the what is it? The left side of the ship. I think that's port, because port is the one that looks almost like a P. Or no, port is right side, because you just make a little stick man on it, and then that's where the right side is. So on the starboard side of your vessel, you can see off in the distance a small sleepy village, not unlike Saltmarsh in its overall design, but you can see that the buildings are of better make. Everything seems to be it's like if Saltmarsh had done better for itself on the offset. That is what Uskarn looks like, and it doesn't take long for your vessel to approach. Hish, you like get behind the helm just because the sight of a self-sailing ship in such a small harbor might end up being cause for alarm. But thankfully, this is something that you at least are understanding enough to actually be able to take care of. So without any issue, your vessel is then brought up to the docks of Uskarn, and you're all able to actually get off of the ship and stretch your legs on relatively dry land, at least for an overnight stay. At this, the crew actually approaches you, Hish, and they ask if there's anything that you want them to do while they're here. If they know that they are supposed to go and speak with a barkeep who Gellum had a favor owed to, and at that they will help resupply the vessel, but overall they're more curious as if you still need them on the boat or not.
That's a good question.
Because otherwise you just have able-bodied sailors hanging out, getting drunk, playing dice games that require role-playing and paper beneath the boat, beneath the vessel's interior, or they're just dedicated fishers.
I think I think those that want to stay, Hish, will gladly take the backup just in case, because Hish does not want to be on a ship completely without a crew if somehow magically the ship turns back to a regular ass ship, or whatever could possibly happen. But yeah, I think he communicates that whoever's willing to stay, they'll be paid as they usually are. But I mean, he's honest. The job will likely be mostly fishing, and whatever excess fish we get, we'll probably sell when we get to Moran. But yeah, the others, if they decide to find more useful work, I don't think he's not gonna stop them.
So at this, Talia actually will pull you aside and say that if they're going to be setting out along a trade route, these sailors would actually make perfect mercenaries, like perfect guards for her to then go down and meet you in
I mean, I don't know what kind of training they have as far as, I mean, they're not pirates, Talia. At least I don't think they are.
They are not pirates.
You're right. Okay. Yeah, then I think he will pose that job to the crew as well.
All right. At this point, 2 of the crew members of the 6 that you have been given are like, they're down to just fish to their heart's content. They don't have anything else going on for them, but it seems like the other sailors are a little bit, they're a little restless. Like they needed something to do with their hands and they just haven't been able to do so.
Yeah.
In quite some time, but they promise that they will do their best to look after Talia, and therein lies another point of interest for Hish as well. A lot of the time that Talia had been talking about going down and taking the trade route, she had been using we and not I. It is her intent to bring Ollie along.
Yeah.
Is this something that Hish is this interaction something that Hish is willing to do, or does Hish try and keep the son aboard?
Can I have a moment to think about that?
Okay. While you are busy thinking about this, Jill, you, Ulman, and Albus, if you would like, can go stretch your legs on the mainland. Get anything in particular that you would like in order to actually resupply on your trip there.
I would like to get some diamonds I can use for resurrection stuff and some more potions if possible.
Okay. I would say for diamonds, you are going to be paying price and a half for them. So if it's a 100 gold diamond, it would end up costing you 150 just because they're in higher demand here. They don't have very much of them, so they just sort of mark them up. So that way when they do sell, they can make at least a little bit of a profit off of it.
Okay. I think for resurrection spells, it's like 300. Revivify's 300. I think I know another one now. Let me see how much that one is. What's the other one that I know now? It's one that's slightly better. Raise Dead is 500. Okay. Okay. I'll see if I can get. Wait, math. I need to think about the math behind this. So 300.
A 300 gold piece diamond would regularly, or it'd be in Uskarn, 450.
Okay. 450 times 3, I think, is okay. And then
How much you need?
I wanted to see if I could get 3 of like the smaller diamonds and 1 of the 500 gold piece diamonds, if possible. Which I technically have enough for. I just wouldn't have enough for healing potions. I probably could get some healing potions.
It'd be 2,100 for the diamonds.
Okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah. And then the healing potions, are you getting just standard healing potions, greater? Like, are you like increasing the potency of them, or just the very basic ones?
How much is the greater? How much would that be?
Greater healing potions, I believe, they go for about 250.
And the smaller ones are like 50?
Yeah.
I'll buy 1 of the greater and 2 of the smaller, and now I'm broke.
Okay.
Worth it, baby.
Okay, and Ulman, is there anything that you would like to do? I saw you making fingers while Jill was purchasing things.
Actually just fiddling around with my hands, but I do want to see if I can pick up. He takes his new cookbook out and sees if he can find some of the like weirder ingredients that he doesn't have in his basic stock because he wasn't prepared to need them to make some of the recipes in this book that he's found.
Okay, make an investigation check.
17.
Okay, so with a 17, I would say that you are able to find some of the more exotic ingredients. It seems like you have gone far enough south that they regularly trade with the traders of who are able to kind of bring up these more exotic flavors and spices.
Great, then he will stock up on some of that stuff.
And I would say while you are out investigating, you overhear a conversation that is between a trader and a local merchant. And they are talking about how the waters have become dangerous over the last several months or so. They talk about how there is they call it a rift. Basically it is a point in the ocean depths where it connects to the abyss. And they are saying that there are things that are emerging out of this rift that have been plaguing the coastline. And the sailor doesn't really have he doesn't really seem to know much about it. He seems relatively new to this area, just like you are, and the merchant doesn't have a very good description. A lot of what they describe is very grandiose. Creatures with hundreds of arms, others that have weird elongated jaws, big burly boys, that kind of thing. Others describe that they are fallen sailors that have found a new ship, a new calling, and they aren't entirely sure what all that entails, but they know that business has not been as steady since it emerged.
After hearing that, I think Ulman would perhaps ask where they heard it from, and or poke around some of the other bars near the port and like various sailors hanging out to see if he could get any more information, even if it's just a bunch of more hearsay.
Okay. I would say make an insight check to determine whether like hearsay versus truth.
21.
Okay. With the 21, you know that references of creatures with like hundreds of arms, that kind of thing, like that doesn't line up really with your understanding of demons. You've been around the block enough times to know, like, yes, there are demons that have multiple arms, but like hundreds of them, they don't seem like they would be naval based, if anything. But what you are able to suss out is that there was a captain about 100 years ago now, who, while sailing along this coast, ended up having their ship go down near this rift. Their name was Tammeraut. And effectively what they fear is that Tammeraut seems to have a vessel that is able to maneuver and steer itself on its own, and he has come back with his undead crew, and they seem to be plundering the coast as once they did.
Okie dokie.
And when they bring up the ship that seems to maneuver itself, they describe it as a ghastly sight, like nothing that they have ever seen before.
We've taken down one ghost ship. What's another? Yeah, he returns to the ship then, and we don't have any sign for like a group meeting because we've never been in a situation where people are just kind of casually out from the boat.
So whenever you go back to the ship, one of the little light up buoys is just off to the side of it. Albus has submerged himself at the bottom of the harbor, hoping that the water pressure will help his head.
I think Ulman will just wait till everyone is back at the ship to distribute this information.
Okay. And Hish. What is Hish's decision?
I don't like making decisions. I think Hish is going to have Ollie go with Talia. I think he packs his backpack for him, and he puts the little Hish figurine. He takes it from his little set, and he sort of puts it in the top of his backpack. So he knows that Dad's always there. And I think he gives Talia, I think he takes her around town putting together a pack for her.
Okay.
With adventuring supplies, but I think he puts in the figurine of the silver raven figurine of wondrous power.
Nice.
He gives that to her, and he tells her to check in every day or as much as it will allow.
For sure.
I don't know if it's a daily thing. I think it's a long rest thing.
It's a dawn thing.
Then daily.
She will do her best.
Daily. Or I'm pulling the ship over and I'm coming to find them.
Sounds good.
But do her best.
All right. So, for the trip as a whole, in order to properly pay other protective forces, that kind of thing, it is going to cost about 750 gold. Which, for the heroes of Saltmarsh, pittance.
Is it?
Really not.
I always forget currency. There we go. Okay, so how much was it?
It was 750.
Okay.
It's going to be an extensive
3,000.
journey.
But that's fine. Remove. All right.
All right. So then Hish, Talia asks if you would be willing to stay one more night on shore with her and Ollie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Sounds good. And so, Ulman, you wait for the crew to all come back, but Hish never does. At least for the evening. And then, Jill, once you had gotten done shopping, was there anything that you wanted to do?
I think Jill is just going to take a quiet moment to find somewhere to sit on, like a beach or something, or just a quiet space. And she's going to pull out her journal and she's going to write a question. It's going to say, "What do you mean by the guiding star?"
And the response that you get back is, "Oh, good, you got it. Did you like it?"
It was certainly unexpected, but it was nice.
And the response back is, when a vessel is lost at sea and they don't know the directional head or bearing with which to go, the common advice given is to always look towards the guiding star. The guiding star will lead you home.
Yes, I'm familiar with this practice. However, I suppose I still don't understand.
And then there is, how to describe this? The text that you receive back jumbles upon the page like it is laughter. And then the response is, "Well, isn't it obvious? You're leading me home."
She'll just write back, "I see. Thank you."
And the response underneath set is, "You're welcome."
Yeah, and she'll close it up and head back to the ship.
Okay. Sounds good. So, Ulman, Jill ends up coming back. You know where Albus is.
When Jill gets back, I think Ulman dives down and gets Albus.
He's sleep as fuck.
He decides not to disturb the sleeping Albus, and he goes back up. Perhaps a wise decision. Yeah, then I guess he just tells Jill, can you refill me in on a couple of the details I got?
Yes.
So there's a rift to the abyss, correct?
That is
in the
correct.
bottom of the ocean somewhere?
Yep.
The abyss. Yeah, okay. I know the abyss. From that abyss has come another ghost ship. You know, we fought one, so we have to distinguish here. But this one actually has an undead crew on it rather than an ungodly amount of spiders, and it's causing trouble somewhere along the coast here.
Indoor, being that I'm from this general area, would I have any knowledge of if this is like a newer thing or like, you know, a tale that's been told many times?
The tale that you remember was about the hubris of a ship's captain who ended up attacking the wrong vessel and as a result ended up having their ship go down. You remember the name of Tammeraut more so and more of their folly versus anything more current. Ulman, you would know from the discussion with these merchants that this is a new thing, that this has been happening within the last several months or so.
I'm familiar with this name. It was a story passed around by many sailors, almost as a fable of sorts, a lesson to be learned, but I've never heard of this.
They were pretty adamant that this was recent, within the past couple of months.
Well, I suppose our sailing will not be as smooth as I hope. But that's awfully disconcerting considering what we know of Skothka and Skothka's connections.
Well, maybe if we run into them, our ship will just eat theirs and we won't have to deal with it.
I suppose that is a thing that could happen now. Which is kind of cool, but also I don't want to necessarily test that out, so... How does Triumph feel at the possibility of eating another ship?
At the prospect of eating another ship, Triumph in a way knows what its purpose should be.
Yeah, I think she's gonna pause for a second and be like, that's disconcerting. Okay.
Disconcerting?
Yeah, just what the information you've shared with me.
Fair. I guess it's just something we should be wary of. I heard no mention of reward, and I don't think we really want to engage in any danger beyond the danger we're seeking. Especially when the whole point is getting to our destination intact and in a timely fashion.
Absolutely. Yes, I believe avoiding entanglement would be wise, and I'm sure Albus and Hish would feel the same. So let's try and make that our goal. However, I did stock up on some supplies, should worse come to worse. So, be prepared for anything, I guess.
Oh, that's, what sort of supplies?
Oh, just some diamonds, terribly upcharged, and a few potions with what I could, with the funds I had.
Oh. You didn't spend all your money, did you?
Do we have some coffee? I just feel like I need to take a very long sip.
Yeah, well, of course, and he produces a cup miraculously. I just feel bad a little bit because that's... I mean, I know you bought them and it was your choice, but they're kind of for us and our benefit. Do you want me to reimburse you?
No, heavens.
Not as reimbursement. Sorry, I not to put it that way. I have more money than I know what to do with. Would you like a little spending cash?
Please, Ulman. I've changed since we've met. Our relationship is not transactional anymore. I do this because I care, and I want to make sure I can do everything in my power to keep you all safe. I hope I would have made that clear by now.
That's not the way I felt bad, but thank you for saying that. It makes me feel nice.
Also, I have a job. And
you
some
have a
money,
job?
perhaps. It's a long story. But yes.
Oh, I remember Hish mentioning something about the people you met when you went off with Centaur. I met some other people who I think were their friends, or maybe their other party members. But
yes, so I should get some payment eventually, and I think for the time being, I don't know. I don't necessarily have want of money. It's strange.
yeah, that's fair. I mostly went out and bought me gestures and bags of strange ingredients, a bunch of supplies to try out more recipes from that book. I'm excited. There's some strange things in there that I don't understand, but they look so tasty.
Well, I look forward to sampling your creations.
I look forward to making them.
And as Ulman thinks wistfully of the Liv Moss book, that is where we're going to call it for tonight's session. So I would like to say thank you to everybody who has decided to stop on by and join us for this wonderful romp through the sandy bars of the Ghost's Saltmarsh. Dingo, where can we find you? What do you do?
You can find me on Twitter at WheresMyDingus. I play some games around the internet. Just a couple right now. Tomorrow, on Off the Table, that's twitch.tv/off_the-table. We are returning to our D&D 5e homebrew campaign called Tales from Thersha. There's gonna be a ball and maybe a wedding that happened super just very suddenly last. It's fine. And then on Tuesdays, I am also on Off the Table playing Alas for the Awful Sea, which is another sad sea game. A lot of feels there. And I think, yeah, that's it for right now.
What's up? It's your boy Reeves. You can find me both on Twitter and Twitch at Reeves_bot. On Sundays, I am currently streaming with a couple of my buddies. We're playing through some Terraria on expert mode. I've taken on the responsibility of builder, and last Sunday, since I couldn't do the normal morning stream, I did a bunch of building. I did 4 hours of building and I got just the shell of the house done, and it was then that I realized that I had designed something way too big. And what have I done to myself? I still have to fill all that in with walls. So you can catch me doing that on Sunday, just filling in walls, building. And Thursdays I'm here.
Hi, I'm Cyber. You can find me on Twitter at CyberWolf1. I post pictures of my dog. She's real cute. She's still sleeping right now. I also tweet about whenever I go live on twitch.tv/CyberWolf1, where I play video games badly and talk about lore. We're going through Castlevania Mirror of Fate, which is my favorite. So, yeah, it's going to be good. Archives of that, go to YouTube. youtube.com/CyberWolf1, and there you can find the podcast that KyleWithAnN and I do called Let's Talk About It, where we get drunk, do parkour, and talk about stuff going on in the RPG world. It's a good time. For RPG stuff, I'm on the DM's Guild. I do a Patreon where I do design work. I'm here on Mondays playing Arjan. You heard him today. He's a good boy with a bad god, and I'm here on Thursdays. I'm here on Thursdays too. You saw that. I'm also on Pro Restarter's channel, twitch.tv/ProRestarter, on Saturdays playing Kurik, the shifter druid. It's a good time. DonateKeener.com.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kylan, otherwise known as KyleWithAnN on Twitter and Twitch. On my Twitch, I play video games, like I just finished Pokemon Sword. Gonna start Phoenix Wright 2, Justice for All soon. All rise, motherfucker. That'll be coming up soon. On my Twitter, you can see what other things I'm up to. Several of the things I'm involved in have already been shouted out, such as Storms and Stars and Black Banner. I won't be there this Saturday, but you can get next Saturday on that. Other than that, and let's talk about it. Cape Lorelei, Urban Shadow's actual play podcast. We just had an episode released yesterday where Saoirse tries her best. Here, tries being imperative. And a new project I'm in is a new mass campaign called Planned Obsolescence. It's over on Playbooks and Pals, twitch.tv/Playbooks and Pals. It's actually season 3 of it. There were 2 other seasons already that I wasn't a part of. Dingo was a part of it. Yeah, and now I'm stepping in as a new member of a teenage superhero team. My name is Theo. I'm playing the Nova, and he's just a good, sweet boy.
Certified teen.
Certified teen. A crisp 17. That is bi-weekly Wednesdays. So not this next Wednesday, but Wednesday after. However, you can watch the session 0 that we did where we kind of planned, relationships and events and are setting the world into motion. So, yeah, that's it for me.
Excellent. If you've made it this far, you probably already know who I am. But if you don't, hey fella, what's up? It's me, your buddy, your pal, your friend, the Indoor Adventurer, the showrunner here at twitch.tv/Indoor Adventures. We do shows like this Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 5:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. On Mondays, we have our homebrew campaign. On Tuesdays, This Tuesday is actually going to be the finale of our Waterdeep War of the Spark game. It was a fun little mini jaunt into the world of Ravnica that I was excited to go to, but alas, events have culminated to a finishing fight where a man is turning into a dragon before our level 10 party members. So let's see what happens as to whether or not they can beat this dragon or not, or if we end on a sour note. Other than that, we have our Thursday game. Hey, you found us. This goes to Saltmarsh. This is a good time. For other of our content, if this is your first time joining us, consider going to youtube.com/indooradventures, where you can gain access to all of our videos as VODs, all of the games that we've ever done since we started live streaming this, even back with the first game that we ever live streamed where I didn't have the tools to make a functional layout. So a lot of it is just like squares of our Zoom video that's just up and available for view. It's super fun. Also, wherever audio casts are available, you can totally find us there. But for now, we are going to be going into our Patreon-supported after show called Nights in the Courtyard, where we answer questions not only from the community, but also from each other. So before we head there, I would like to say thank you to everybody who decided to stop on by and join us for this wonderful excursion. And of course, thank you to these players for putting up with my bullshit once again this week. And we will see all of you guys next time. All right, everybody. Bye-bye!